and then we're ready to roll. Okay.
All right.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us. A little bit about the Creatives Roundtable. It's also known as the CR. The CR is an accountability group for people in the creative industry that helps our members grow and fine-tune their businesses. We meet in monthly 1-hour moderated Zoom online video chats like this, where we work through goals, marketing, hot topics, and share resources. Our groups are a maximum of 5 people, and we have moderated sessions that help you navigate tough business situations, meet or exceed your revenue goals, tackle your to-do list, define your niche, and much more. And part of the group package gives you access to all of our CR speakers. Recent speakers have been Paul Jarvis, Melinda Livesey, Elise Benham, and Emily Cohen. Registration is open now through June 15th for the July through December term, and I'll put the link up in the chat. I'm very excited to introduce our speaker all the way from Israel, Ran Segall. Ran is a freelance designer, YouTuber, and the creator of the Webflow Masterclass. He's worked with B2B and B2C startups to create great brands and products. Our group member, Tara, has taken his class and highly recommended it, and that is why we are all here. So he's going to make this a little bit interactive. So while you should mute yourself while he's talking, unmute so that you can answer questions. And take it away, Ran.
Hi. Okay. Thank you, Nancy, for the introduction. Hopefully this is going to be valuable for you guys. And I just want to ask a few questions in a second, just so I can better, I guess, change my explanation or my presentation according to where you are right now. So it will be helpful if you write in the chat. I think in the chat will be more easy to see everybody's comments instead of everybody shouting them. So let me share my screen and we'll be able to get started. Let me see how I do that. All right. So you can now see my screen.
Yeah.
But I wonder, how can I open the chat? Just want to see. Okay. I'm just opening up the chat so I can see your responses as well. All right.
What did you want everyone to type in the chat?
I'll ask in a second.
Okay, great.
I'll ask in a second. All right. So I'll just so we're here for me to hopefully introduce you to a new, hopefully revolutionary tool for your design arsenal, which is called Webflow. It's a tool to build websites. This has definitely changed my career as a freelancer, and Tara's as well. She's part of the group, and she actually recommended for me to come and tell you about this. So this is what I'm doing here, and hopefully this can be helpful for you as well. I'll just give you a little quick context about who I am. So basically, I'm a designer. I work mainly with startups, and I help them with everything from their brand, from their product, from their marketing website, that type of stuff. I also have a YouTube channel where I share daily how I work and processes and advice and that type of stuff. And I also started 2 businesses for designers called New School and Prospero. I won't go deeply into that, but just a little context about what do I do as a designer, and how, so that you can understand how that tool became very, very helpful for me. So now here's the question, just for me to understand where you are right now. So I'd love to know if you're currently, as a designer, you're selling websites to your clients. So just answer yes or no, so that we can just understand. So we have yes, 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 yes. Okay, so everybody's selling websites. That's amazing. So next question is, are you familiar with other website platforms such as WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace? Or even better, you can write in the comments what you are using right now to build websites for your client, whether it is one of these platforms, or are you hiring developers, or what do you do right now when you finish the design of a website and you need to deliver it? What do you do? Write that in the comments. Okay, so Gina uses Squarespace. That's awesome. Tara, Webflow or WordPress with a developer. Nancy, give the design to a developer for WordPress and Squarespace. And Nick, yes, hire developer. Also use Shopify in WordPress. And Smith, WordPress usually. So WordPress, is that hire a designer or work with a template or something like that? Okay, so I assume it's one of the solutions for WordPress. Okay, so that kind of gives me context. Also, one thing that I didn't put here on the slide is, are you guys familiar with HTML, CSS, and coding in general? So just yes, no would be helpful. Yes, 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 slightly. Yes, in general, and yes. Okay, so you all know the basic concepts of HTML and CSS, know how that work, but most of you don't do the coding yourself of website. You use platforms or you hire other developers. All right, so here's why I'm really excited about platform like Webflow. And I'll explain what Webflow is in just a second, but I just want to show you just like a recent website. So this is a recent website that I just built for a client, went live like a week or two ago. It's a website for a company in the electronics industry. And it's quite, I would say, custom website in a sense that it has a lot of things going on, like interaction, like this kind of like sticky navigation in the side, and things that are obviously you could not do within a template of something like Squarespace or WordPress or something like that, and would have to necessitate something like hiring a developer and paying a lot of money for it. And this website basically took me, this is a screenshot from Timely where I measure my time. This took me 6 hours and 35 minutes to build, which I think is incredible for the quality of the work that was done, obviously for a project in that scale. So building custom work so efficiently and effectively in delivering high quality design, for me, that's really, really exciting. And that's the major thing that happened to me when I started using Webflow, which again, I'll explain in a second. I like the quality of my work and the efficiency in which I was able to execute that work dramatically increased, which also helped make my business very, very profitable because, you know, as you said, instead of paying a few $1,000s for a developer, I charge the money myself for development, and I do that in something like 6, 7, 10 hours. And obviously that ends up as being very, very profitable, and also, you know, save the time of communication and all the other time and hassle involved in outsourcing your work to somebody else. All right, so this is why I'm excited about this. So what is Webflow? Basically, I think of Webflow not as a website builder, which is something like, you know, Wix or Squarespace, where basically you have kind of like ready-made components and then you drag and drop them. It's kind of like, I would say, for dummy platforms. And you can, obviously, one of you guys said that you're hiring a developer for Squarespace because you can custom code, you can make it customized, but it requires custom coding and a lot of stuff that you can't do by yourself. Now, the thing about Webflow is basically it's a UI for code. So what does that mean? That means that it's literally a development platform, but that was created with designers in mind. So what you have here, and I will do a demo in a few minutes, but what you can see here pretty quickly is that with a bunch of menus and tools that might be somewhat familiar from design softwares, you can basically manipulate code and basically do whatever you want. So you're not limited to a template. You're not limited to a set of components, ready-made components that, you know, whoever built the software designed for you, and you must work within those templates. You can literally do whatever you want to do, which allows you to do custom work for, obviously custom work has a higher value than, you know, templated work. I'm sure you know that, but it allows you to do that again yourself without a developer and reach much, much, much better results. And you can do any type of website with it. You can build your portfolio. You can build business website or client website. You can build blogs. There's an amazing CMS for it, which I'll show in a second. CMS is content management system for your clients to edit the content once it's done. And there's e-commerce for it. So basically you can do most websites that are not apps. And by apps, I mean that they require logins and stuff like that. But most websites that are like content website, that's an ideal use case for building them with Webflow. And so the main difference between the platforms that you already know, WordPress, Wix, and Squarespace is this. The first one is you can do custom design. So you're not limited to any template. And I'll show you how it works in a few minutes, but you literally give styles to divs, which is basically you write code without literally typing in lines of code, but you write code so you can do anything you want. Now, beyond that, it has an amazing CMS. So as I said, CMS, content management system, if you guys are working with WordPress, you definitely know what it is. And you know how kind of like ugly and frustrating it might be to update a website. So as you can see here with this quick video, you can see that it's pretty, visual text manipulation to edit content with a Webflow website or add new pages to it. The experience is just for clients, which you deliver the CMS for, the experience is so much better that clients are just like much happier with those type of website that to maintain than with having a WordPress CMS, which is, WordPress has its benefits, but it's basically an old open source system that is hard to maintain. So this is really, really nice user experience for your clients to update the code. It has amazing code, which means that if you want at the end of the day, export the code from Webflow, just use it to design, and then you can export the code, host it, whatever you want, you can do that. But if you host with them, it gives you access to a lot of features like security, like very fast hosting, what's called Content Delivery Network, CDN. So that gives you ability to create a website, like highly maintained website, very, very fast and easy yourself without developers. So that's the first thing. I think the best thing I can do to kind of show you how awesome this is just to do a quick demo. And I'll try to, let me show you how I can do something really, really fast. Let me see if, well, I can't do that. So basically I thought, how about I try to do the Pentagram website? I'm sure all of you guys know Pentagram, like the big design firm house. They have a pretty nice website, and I just wanted to show you how I can rebuild this. Now, it has some custom experience. I don't think it would be easy to build this type of thing with WordPress or with something like we have this kind of a slideshow, and when you scroll, it has a little bit of parallax effect, and also it has kind of like it darkens. So and then there's this kind of grid. So there's kind of a layout here, which is not, I would say, not common. This website, you won't be able to build this with a template. And I just wanted to show you that I can really build this layout in Webflow in like, I believe like 10 minutes or something like that. So I want to take the next 10 minutes to basically show you how I do that. Now I'm going to run pretty fast here. And it's okay if you never saw the software, if you're not very familiar with code, you might not really understand everything that I'm doing. So it's not meant to be like a tutorial where I'm going to teach you how to do this. But I just want to show you that when you know how to use the tool, you can achieve a result like building this website in just a few minutes. So let me show you how I would do that. So this is basically my Webflow dashboard. Let me open up a website. Basically, when you start a website, you can start with a template, but I'm always just starting from blank. And as I said, Pentagram mockup. As I said, what we're doing right now is doesn't really fit into any template. So this is basically the interface. And now we have here, if you can see at the top, we have a body, because this is how the web works. So everything in HTML is a body tag. You understand that. So let me start by throwing in a bunch of elements that I can start styling. So the first thing that we have here is a navigation bar and this kind of like slider that goes around. So specifically for those two things, I can add elements here, and I can add the most basic web elements such as div block, but I also have a little bit more complex items such as a slider, for example, and also a navigation bar. So let me throw those two inside here. Where's the nav bar? All right. So we have those two elements on the screen. Now, the first thing that I want to do is make sure that this fits the whole screen. And then I want this to also be kind of like fixed to the background, because this other section is going to come up on top of it. So here's what I'm going to do. By the way, let me just upload my assets here. I downloaded a bunch of images from the Pentagram website, which they did a pretty good job making it hard to download their images. I can understand why, but just for the sake of this presentation, I downloaded them. So let me start giving styles. So just like the web works with CSS, you give styles to elements. So this one, I'll call this like hero slider, and I'll start styling it. So the first thing would be to say that the height would be 100 vertical height. That means that it's going to fill up the whole screen, and I'm also going to make it fixed. So the position is going to be fixed so that we can, have the other sections scroll on top of it. Now, on the basic stuff, there's like 2 slides here. I can add obviously how many I want or dynamically, but for the sake of this, we're just going to make like slide 1 and give it a background image of one of the images that we downloaded. Let's do that maybe. So then we have the first slide. Then let's do the second slide, call this slide 2. And put another background image here. Let's say we're going to do this. All right. So now we have 2 slides here, and we can choose how they slide, and we can say that they're going to auto slide every 2,000 milliseconds. So basically, that's the slider, right? I can add the text here, but just for the sake of this presentation, I'm just going to go forward and keep running with it. Second thing, I want this navigation bar also to be kind of like fixed and transparent. We don't need first of all, let me add the logo here. Just drop the logo in here, make it 150. To position the logo accordingly, I'll give it a style logo and give it a little bit of margins. So this navigation bar, nav bar, I'm just going to make that fixed as well to the top and without a background. For some reason, they choose to give it like a default background. So now we have also the navigation bar pretty much on top, just like this navigation bar. Now I want to do this kind of like when you scroll, the next section goes on top of this section. So let me start doing that. First of all, since I will have something come up on top of this, let me give this a Z index, which is basically how far this up in the layer stack. So let's do this like 10, and maybe the nav bar, we can do it 15, so we can have something on top of it. All right, so now I'll throw in some sections. The first section is actually just going to be an empty section, just so we can have space to scroll above the fixed section. So let's call this section 1. Again, it's going to be empty, also 100 vertical height. So you don't see anything, but it doesn't matter. It's just so we can scroll, because the first hero and slider are fixed. Now the second section, let's put it here and call it section 2. That's going to be, first of all, I want it to go above this. Let's just give it 500 pixels height, just so we can see it, and make white background. Okay, now we can't see it at the moment because we didn't give it a Z index relative that's higher than what we had before. So let's do 40. All right, now we can see it. Okay, so now we have something scrolling on the top of that, on the first hero section. I can just remove the height because it was just wanted to show it. I'll give it a little bit of padding, and I'll throw inside, we have this kind of a grid thing going around here. So let me throw in a grid here. But we have this wonderful thing called CSS grid, which we can throw in here. And then basically what we have here is 4 columns, basically 4 columns, and then maybe this is 2 rows. So let's create that. So basically 4 columns I have here. Obviously I can, choose the gutter. And yeah, this looks pretty good. And I'll throw in a box, which I can call, let's call this like grid box. And inside of it, we're gonna throw in an image. So let's choose a random image and call it grid image, and make sure that it fills 100% of the width and 100% of the height. And now basically I can start duplicating it. So just put this here, put this one, let's say that I want to have this one on 2 columns. And then let's do another one. Where did it go? Okay, it's here. Oh, no. Let me just start with those boxes, just because it's easier to grab them and move them around. And this one is the one that's going to be on 4 columns. And obviously I can change the images here. All right. And obviously I can add the text, I can make them linkable. I'm just trying to create the layout here first. So obviously I'm not doing it exactly the same, but basically we do have the same layout here. Maybe I'll just add the text link on the bottom of each of these, just so we can have that. So let's bring in a text block here and say this is project name, and have that, let's give it a style of project name, and make it a little bit, no, don't need that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Can also do that when we hover over it, it gets an underline, maybe. I think that's basically the interaction that we had there. So let me, for this, just give it a little bit of, just giving it a little padding so we can see it here in the preview. Yeah, now when I hover, I get this underline effect. And if I want, I can duplicate this to every one of those. Oh, understand what I did here is this one, this one, this one, and this one. Yep, I think for some reason, yeah, the images might not be the same. So let me remove the image height here from this image, reset those, yeah. And this one, we can give it a specific height if we want to, something like, oh, this is great image. So this is, let's call it main image. Make it higher. I'm not building this appropriately. I'm just doing it as fast as I can just to demonstrate kind of the capability. So basically we have kind of the layout right now. Yeah, this didn't work well the way that I kind of fixed the height. It's not the proper way to do that. But I just want to show you how I do the kind of like when we scroll down, we get this black overlay. So let me create, this is super simple. I just don't want to waste more time trying to fix this, but obviously we can fix this pretty quickly. So let's add here to the hero slider, add another, maybe, let's call this dark background, dark BG, and make this 100%, 100% with a black background, and choose to make it something that is above this, but below the, yeah, below the second section. This also needs to be fixed, obviously. All right. So now I've created a layer, a black layer above the slider. Let me reduce the opacity of that. And what I want to do right now is I want to give it an interaction. So we can do a page interaction and do an interaction that's triggered while the page is scrolling. And so let's create an animation. Let's call this dark background. And we're now animating this black background element. So I can set here that when the scroll is set to 0, which means we're at the top of the website, let's pull the opacity of this down to 0, stick to 0. And when we're a bit down below, maybe like 20%, or maybe even what happens when we scroll to the end, because right now this is pretty short, the opacity gets to maybe 50%. Let's do a live preview of this. Now I scroll, and as you see, when I scroll, the background darkens. All right, so that's the first thing. We also have another effect here, which is it goes up, but it goes up slower than this darken, the second section, which gives it's this little parallax effect. So let's add another one. So let's choose this hero slider, and no, let's go back here to the scroll animation and choose another element. And this one, I want to choose this hero slider. Yeah, it's selected. So I'll animate that, and I'll give it an animation of move. So when it's, again, positioned at the top, no scroll at all, I can say that the move the Y axis is actually 0. So nothing actually happened. I can actually give these all, let's do this. Why it's move action element to animated. You need 2 move action, right? So at the end, let me add another move, which is I'm going to move that up just a little bit, just a tiny bit, something like 100. All right. The Y gives me this. You need 2 move action to animated. They should also be on different keyframes. Let's add here this and this. All right, now it should be fine. Let's do live preview. And now you can see that while I'm sliding, that the slider also goes up, and it goes up slower. So it creates this parallax effect. Now we also have here that this hero, this kind of navigation bar moves. Actually, I think that's because the navigation is actually not part of the, it's just not part of the navigation bar. So if I turn that from fixed to absolute, I think that should work just the same. Yeah, all right. So basically, you've seen how I recreate this layout and the same interaction. I mean, we can continue for the whole website, but it's been like, I don't know if it's been like 10 minutes or something. And we probably have a pretty good start of this layout. Now, basically what I can do right now is I can click publish here. And this is now a published website. So let me just paste this in the chat for you guys. You can open that up in your browsers and open it up, and you can see it on your computer. Obviously, it's not mobile responsive at the moment, but it works. It works, and moreover, I can go here and I can also export the code. So you can see here, export code. This now generates HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all the assets that I'm using. This will create a zip with all of them. And if you know HTML and CSS, you can actually read this code and see that it's really great code, really clean code, semantic code. This is really, really wonderful. And all the developers that I've worked with in the past love working with this. So even if you will end up developing this website on, like, hosting it on something like WordPress, exporting this code and handing it off to developer will, first of all, save so much of the development time, but also make sure that, you know, you're getting the exact effects and layouts and everything that you wanted. But developers, from my experience, love this code, and it's been really, really helpful. All right, let me get back to my presentation. All right, so I hope this was kind of showed you a little bit of what we can do with this, and it's really, really powerful. Let me just go back here and what did I want to do? Okay, so let me click Webflow Showcase. if you still want to dig in a little bit inside, see what other people are doing and see how people work. So on Webflow's website, you can go into Showcase and you'll see what people have done. And also, so you can just open up websites, but also you can open them up inside Webflow. So let's take this example, which is actually a solution to embed logins and payments on Webflow websites. But this website that looks really great, check out this awesome interaction animation, was built with Webflow. If you want to see how they did this, what you do is you simply go here and you say open with Webflow, and then it opens it up in the editor itself. Then you can go down deep inside and see exactly how they built this website, how they styled it, how they've achieved certain interaction and animations, and how everything was done. This is a great way to learn, to see what's possible, to see how other people are working and get some creative ideas into it. So this is really, really wonderful and will open up your brain in terms of what's possible instead of what other people have used the platform to do. And this is really, really helpful. I actually use this to learn a lot about, to get inspiration, but also learn about how other people are working. So Webflow Showcase, you can Google that and you can start learning from here as well. So basically, I hope that I got you a little bit of excited about this platform. We'll do a Q&A in a few seconds, and if you've got any questions about this, I'd love to answer them, and I would love to tell you more. Basically, what I want to share is this. If you're interested, what are the next steps and what you can do to learn how to master this platform, which as I showed you, and maybe if you got a little bit confused while seeing me build this, because obviously you need to understand the basic concepts of HTML and CSS and how to properly build and structure things for the web. So there's two things that you can do. So the first one is Webflow has, let me open that up here. Webflow has what they call the Webflow University, which is basically a lot of video tutorials for you to go and check out and see how they work. And you can do that. That's free. You can do that on yourself and on your own. I recommend you go check it out. For those of you who want to move a bit faster, I've created the Webflow Masterclass, which is an online course that really takes you from let's say 0 to hero in terms of, even if you have no clue in terms of how the web works, HTML, CSS, it will teach you everything that you need to know in terms of how to master Webflow to build websites really, really quickly and efficiently, both on the technical side of what you need to learn, and also in terms of business, like how to handle clients, how to sell Webflow to clients, how to deliver the website, how to do the whole client management in this type of scenario. So it has everything you need. I won't go deep into everything, but and you can also ask Tara. She's here on the group and she's in the course. She's taking it. So there's like hundreds of students who have literally changed their careers and have been able to do really incredible client work and build websites in just hours. So I really would love if I'll send you the link later. You can check out everything that's included. Basically, as I said, it takes you from getting started, even if you don't know anything, into beyond just the technical. I showed you that you can watch free tutorials, right? But the main difference is that I cover how I work on real client projects and how I use this software efficiently. Because basically, I'm as a freelancer, one of the things that matter most to me is saving time, working efficiently. And so I'm sharing my whole processes, my whole principles in terms of both how to structure, how to style, and how my process for managing the projects, for working with the client is. So basically, if you want to save up a lot of time mastering this skill, I think this can be very, very helpful for you. It comes down with a lot of bonuses, which I won't cover right now because I guess it will take a lot of time to cover, but it comes with a lot of done for you templates, files that I'm working with, scripts, and also a lot of extra bonuses. The course is selling right now for $697, but because I'm presenting this to you personally, I'd love to give you $200 off if you use the coupon code Roundtable, so you can get it for $497. And I'd love to answer questions. I'd love to hear what you think, and help you on board this, because I think this is a tool that is really, really game changer for designers in terms of how you can sell websites and make that much more profitable while making the quality higher, because you are in control. You're not outsourcing to a developer. You're not reliant on fixed components in a platform. You are in total creative control. And so the experience for both you, your client, the end result is much higher. Hope that was helpful. Would love to answer questions, and yeah.
I unmuted everybody, by the way.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gina. You look like you had a question.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome. And I've been following your blogs and stuff, your videos. You're hilarious. I love you.
Thank you.
So my biggest concern, because Tara and I are buddies, and we've talked about this before,
Awesome.
is I use mainly Squarespace, only Squarespace. And what scares me about moving to another platform is I feel like Squarespace has been around a while now, for web world stuff. Is this going to be around? What happens if it goes away? What happens if the company gets sold and everything changes? Is it something that you can feel confident is still going to be there for my clients 2, 5, 6 years from now?
I would say, let's start. Well, both Squarespace, and I would understand if you say this about WordPress, but specifically Squarespace, or even Wix, which is, by the way, a public company, but specifically Squarespace is a startup company that raised a bunch of money, like a lot of venture capital. What that means is that, they are trying to be as big as they can. And it's kind of like either they go public or they don't, or they also get sold or something. So this is like high growth startup trajectory. I feel like it's in the same risk category. Webflow, on the contrary, raised not a lot of money, and they stopped raising money because they are profitable. And they're not trying to be the biggest in the world in terms of raising so much more money so they can dominate the world. They're growing slower. But for me, it's much more stable, because I know that they're not going wild and crazy. So I feel like, and it might be, just because I know the founders and I talk to them, that I feel like this is less risk to go with a company that is more financially stable and secure, rather than somebody who is like all in and have to, make huge returns for their investment. They're going to take huge risks in order to win it all. And, I don't think that Squarespace is going to go bankrupt or close tomorrow. That's probably not very likely, but I say that I don't think that it's riskier in that sense. That being said, unlike Squarespace, you can always export the code. So you can always take your work and host somewhere else. So either you have backups or you can have it. Squarespace, if that's not around anymore, tough luck. You don't own your websites. So that's how I would see that.
Okay.
So Smith asked a question and Nick seconded it. We typically develop sites in WordPress and often have to integrate third-party integrations into the site, like Salesforce. Is this something Webflow can do? Right.
So to begin with, it has to be said that WordPress as an open source platform has much more extendability in terms of plugins and that sort of stuff. But in terms of integrating with other third-party integrations, right now, Webflow integrates with Zapier, if you know Zapier, Nick. And it really basically allows you to integrate into almost any website. Personally, I have as I said, I have my course on Webflow, and my landing page is on Webflow. It integrates with my CRM. It integrates with my webinar system. So I've integrated it quite a lot to multiple systems. So the easy way, which does not require any coding, is integrating with Zapier, which allows you, the designer, to integrate very easily. Beyond that, Webflow allows for custom code, which means that literally at the end of the day, you can integrate with anything. It will require working with a developer, but as you said, you're probably doing that right now as well. So the question is, only after that integration happens, what happens if you want to change the design? What happens if you want to tweak the layout and the fonts? Do you still have to go again and talk to a developer and change your theme or whatever? Or you can just do 2 clicks, change the font, change the whatever, create a new section in the website, bam, you're done in a few minutes. So I think that's where the majority of the value lies. After setting up the whole, infrastructure and everything that you need to do, the main value is how are you going to maintain the design or update the design?
A lot of my clients want something in WordPress because they want to be able to go in and make the edits afterwards themselves. So
the edits to the content or to the design?
Content.
So as I showed, maybe let me just open up a client website.
So you can take the code then and give it to a developer or somehow put it in yourself into WordPress, and then they would be able to edit.
Yeah, but even better. Let me just share my screen again.
Okay.
So let me just open up a website. Okay, let's open up one of these websites. All right, so I've showed you this website before,
right?
The client website that I recently did, this website, right? So basically what happens, once I give the client access, they get an access to what's called the editor. And check out how this looks. So basically, they see the website just like this. The only thing is, they can go here, they can click this text right now. For some reason, it's a bit slower, but okay, as you can see, this is now totally editable. I can add some text here. And this is as easy as this. They make change edits. They can add a link here. They can make this bold. Once they do, they just click publish and it's visually done. They can update the text here. They can change whatever, everything in the website here is editable. They want to change this image, they click, they upload a new image. Beyond that, specifically, this website doesn't have a CMS, which means content management system, something like a blog, if you want to update a new post, if you want to add a new team member, something like that. But basically, you would be able to do that from here without, you can still maintain everything. The same things that you do with WordPress, you'd be able to do here just from a visual interface that's much easier to maintain and much easier for clients to onboard clients and teach them how to use this.
Okay.
So yeah, this is it basically.
So Smith asked, does the CSS get compiled with a lot of the fancy cross-browser prefixes? What is the browser support?
So compile with a lot of the fancy cross-browser prefixes. Honestly, I do not know exactly what that means since I'm not a CSS master. I do know that the code itself and the websites are cross-browser, and the browser supports depends on the features that you use. For example, if you know CSS, Flexbox is supported on some browsers. It does not support on other browsers. It does not support on Internet Explorer and stuff like that. If you use something like Position Sticky, which is a new CSS feature, it's not supported on browsers that does not support CSS. You actually have to know which CSS property is supported on which browsers. They allow you features that are not supported on all browsers, but the features that they implement, obviously they make sure that they run cross browsers, but if a feature is not supported on all browsers, specifically on old browsers, then yeah, it's not going to be supported.
Tara, did you have something?
I was just going to chime in to your point about the editor, just from somebody who's used this with clients. My clients love it, just because inevitably what happens is they have plans to manage their own WordPress site. They don't necessarily do updates on a regular basis. They're confused by the WordPress interface. They might forget how to, they'll forget what that short code is or what that means, or the whole editing and upkeeping and maintenance process on the Webflow side. I've also used Squarespace. It seems very familiar to them. For me, I think it's a lot closer to the Squarespace environment than it definitely is WordPress. And once I get a client onboarded with that and they start using it, that's all they want to use. They're like, I don't want to go back to editing code myself. So.
Okay.
Question, because I missed your answer, ran earlier. So are you saying that clients can't edit a blog, or they can edit their blog?
No, they can. Obviously they can. The website that I showed did not have a blog in it, but yeah. And again, it's not just blog. It's a lot of times I use CMS for stuff like team members, testimonials, client logos, stuff like that might be dynamic, that the client might want to add, or not just edit existing text. They might want to add a new page or new content. That stuff I use the content management system for, and that's been working wonderfully well. And
how do you handle SEO with Webflow? What is your process? How does it work, and what do you do?
Okay, well, so let me share that again with you. Let me share my screen again. All right, so basically every page here has SEO settings. You can even get a preview to see how the website is going to show up in Google based on what you write here, the title tag, the meta description. You can make sure that the open graph setting and image shows up on social media just like you wanted it. So basically this is the main page SEO settings. And also for every image, you can't really do that from here, but when you edit an image, for example, you can add here an alt property. You can see that maybe here. So basically, there are not a lot of, there's no plugins in that case to manage SEO, just like WordPress has, but it has all the core features that that clients need in order to make sure that their CSS, their SEO works fine. When you are creating something like a blog or, CMS collections, which is basically a database, you can make sure that the links are formatted the way that you want them to be formatted. And so, yeah, you basically can do, I never had problems like clients asking for stuff that was not, but again, I want to put that into caveat. I'm not an SEO expert. All the requirements that I have are from the client that I ended up working with. And so maybe your clients have other demands. I just don't know them.
So from a process standpoint, when a client comes to you and that question comes up, are you writing those title tags yourself, or is your client writing that? Or are you working with another person to do that part of it?
Specifically, I say up front that I don't do SEO just because I'm not an SEO expert. If they want to do it themselves, they can do it themselves. I show them how to do it. If they want to bring in a third party person, I can onboard them and show them how to do it, or get requirements in terms of, but I don't do that myself. I don't offer that as a service, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I always feel the pressure too. To do everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Gina, Janet, who also spoke to our group, I have worked with Janet from an SEO service on some Webflow websites. And I was really curious to get her feedback because she's worked both on WordPress and then on Squarespace. And she actually said that pleasantly surprised and impressed with what she was able to do. There are a couple of things that she's uncovered on the Squarespace side that she actually, told me. I have some clients on Squarespace, and there's some things that she would like to customize and change that she feels that would negatively affect their SEO. Now, granted, there are millions of websites using Squarespace, so how much it's negatively affecting them, who knows? But there were things that she couldn't do that frustrated her in Squarespace that she anticipated being the same in Webflow, and surprisingly, it wasn't. So she was surprised and pleased with the control and the things that she was able to do to kind of check those basic SEO boxes off. So just to let you know, from an SEO person that does that, she supported it.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else have any other questions? No?
Awesome.
Great. This was fantastic. I asked Rand to put the link to his masterclass down below. And again, the code is Roundtable. And I will be sending everyone a link to this video so that you can refer back to it if you'd like.
Amazing, guys. I really enjoyed doing this. Thank you for accommodating the weird time zone in which I am in. I am in Tel Aviv, Israel. Yeah, have an awesome day.
Thanks,
and an awesome
you too.
week.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye.